Hi, welcome back to another episode here on Creepy with Coffee. I'm Kim, your storyteller. Well, question for tonight is, what is the most terrifying things that you have seen while driving late at night? Now, today's story, imagine this. You are driving home late at night. The road is empty, the only light coming out from your car's headlight. Then, out of nowhere, you see something standing by the side of the road, pale, still, staring straight ahead. And as you pass by, a chill runs down your spine. What did you just see? Who or what was that? Well, listen all the way to the end because the story, it's gonna make you think twice before driving alone at night. Now, let's get on to the story.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
It was around 5 p.m. and I was finally off work. Tomorrow, I had a morning shift, meaning another full day at the supermarket. My schedule had been exhausting. Morning to evening shifts back to back. But at least I was making some money after finishing STPM. For those who do not know what is STPM is like the final exam, the public final exam right before you enter uni. Better than staying at home doing nothing, right? Definitely. That evening, I decided to hang out at my old school friend's house. It had become our usual spot, a place to chill after work. In our group, only one of us had a driving license, and luckily, he had a car that night, though I couldn't quite remember whose car he had borrowed. But well, who cared? As long as we had wheels, we could go any way we wanted. During our little gathering, the topic of a late night trip to the Ulu Lengong hot springs in Baling came up. For those listening in, if you do know where is this, do let me know because this place does not sound familiar. The plan was to leave at 10 p.m. At first, I was reluctant to go since I had to be at work by 9:30 a.m. the next morning. But after some persistent convincing, I gave in and took the empty spot left by a friend who had fallen sick due to some nasty case of hives. The drive from Sungai Petani to the hot springs would take roughly an hour or two, and I wasn't exactly sure if I had informed my parents before leaving. At exactly 11 p.m., I was already standing in front of my friend's house waiting to be picked up. And of course, in true Malaysian time, everyone only started arriving around 11 p.m. Once we are all gathered, 4 of us in total, we got into the car and set off. The road trip started with lots of laughter, jokes, and even a few ghost stories thrown in for fun. Well, we were 18 years old, reckless, fearless, thinking we were invincible. As we drove, the roads were still somewhat busy, but we opted for an old route through Baling. I had no idea where we were exactly, but I did remember hearing about a deadly accident involving a factory van in this area. Apparently, several people died from that accident, but I do not know exactly the location or what exactly happened. Halfway through our drive, the driver suddenly said, "Oi, jangan cakap besar sangat." Typical horror movie warning, right? But of course, we didn't take it seriously and continue with our nonsense. We arrived at the hot springs after sometime around 1 a.m. The place was surprisingly packed, almost like a daytime outing. Finding parking was a struggle, and we had to leave the car at a spot further away from the main entrance. The moment we stepped out, a chill ran down my spine. I do not know whether it's something off, but probably it's just the night breeze felt oddly cold, sending shivers down my arms. We quickly went inside and enjoyed the different pools, which varied in temperature. Some were warm, some were scorching hot, so hot that people were actually boiling eggs in them. We soaked in warm pools for a good 2 hours. By the time we decided to leave, it was nearing 3 a.m. Well, this place is actually, according to the writer, people usually would come in the middle of the night just to have their good times in warm pools. Well, by the time they leave, it's already 3 a.m. The crowd had thinned out and the parking area was eerily quiet. As we approached the car, the sudden sound of dogs barking, howling in the distance made us pause. My friend muttered, "Anjing boleh nampak hantu tau." Thanks for the reassurance, buddy. Still, we got into the car and began our journey back. Unlike before, the atmosphere inside the car had changed. We were all exhausted, our energy drained from the warm water. The once lively conversations died down, and soon everyone was lost in their own thoughts. After about 30 minutes or so, we were near Kuala Ketil. That's when I saw it. At first, it looked like a tombstone by the roadside. The exact word was Batu Nisan. I didn't say anything, convincing myself it was just a marker or a sign. I was sitting at the back seat on the left side, and I could feel my heart rate picking up. My eyes were fixed on the object. As we got closer, I realized it was not a tombstone at all, but it was a woman. She stood by the road motionless, her face completely expressionless, staring straight ahead. She was dressed in all white, resembling someone wearing a telekong, which is a Muslim prayer garment usually worn by female Muslim friends. Her skin was pale, almost greyish. Her eyes, though not looking directly at us, felt lifeless. A sudden wave of cold dread swept over me. My friend in the front passenger seat must have seen her too, because he suddenly rolled up his window in a panic. Well, that car didn't have power windows, so he had to do it manually and fast. That's when the driver slammed his foot on the accelerator. The car behind us, which had been trailing at a safe distance, suddenly sped up and overtook us in a hurry. I was convinced they had seen the woman too. Inside our car, chaos erupted. "Weh, hang nampak tak? Aku nampak. Then someone asked the most terrifying question. "Weh, dah pukul 4 ni weh. Siapa yang duduk berdiri tepi jalan? Tak ada rumah pun situ. Cuma bukit dengan gaung je weh." Silence filled the car. No one had answered. As we entered the town area, we passed by a bus stand. That's when I saw something even more terrifying. 5 people were sitting on a bench, all facing us as we drove by. But one of them wasn't sitting. He or it was perched on top of the bench, squatting like a crow, grinning at us. I felt my stomach churn. I whispered to my friends, "Guys, yang dekat bus stand tadi korang nampak tak?" The thing is, no one spoke, but the tension in the car told me that they had. We drove in silence until we reached Sungai Petani. The plan was to wait for the subuh or dawn prayer call before going home. I stayed near town, but one of my friends had to drive all the way to Pinang Tunggal, which I believe this is further away from the town. Well, that's his problem now. Finally, the call to prayer echoed through the town. We left out a collective sigh of relief. Thank God nothing had followed us. That morning, we all went home, pretending like nothing happened. But deep down, we knew we had seen something that night, something that didn't belong to our world. And to this day, I still wonder what was the woman standing by the roadside at 4 a.m. So, that's all the story that we have for this episode. What do you think? The woman had something to do with the accident that was mentioned earlier on in the story? Or just something that was just waiting for its victim? Or probably it's just another woman? Let me know down below in the comment section. Once again, if you have enjoyed the story and you have yet to do so, please help me like, subscribe to the channel. Well, once again, this is Kim, and this is Creepy with Coffee. Until the next episode.